All right, hey, you know what? My name's Walter. I hope I'm looking at the camera. I'm not even sure. I got a paper in front of me, though, by the way. I wanted to discuss a few points. Again, my name is Walter Interrante. I'm from Norristown, PA. A little bit about myself, because I'm going to try to read this paper. I apologize, because I'm not really good without something in front of me to read, at least at this point. This is to interview for the Comic Book Men. Now, I'm not supposed to talk basically about comic books because I'm really not a big comic book reader, but I do like going into comic book stores because I grew up honestly with a lot of shows, TV shows from back in the 70s and 80s that were actually based upon comic book characters like Superman, Wonder Woman, the Incredible Hulk. It's kind of funny, but I actually like those better than anything else. So anyway, I'm going to go through this thing, what it actually is asking for now. And I apologize, I don't have my reading glasses on, so this is going to be actually difficult. And by the way, I do a podcast that actually I got influence from actually going to the Smodcast, I believe. Kevin Smith does that thing. He actually comes around to Philadelphia, and he discusses things he does on his podcast, which actually influenced me, though. That's not what this is about. Actually, it's more about Comic Book Men, which actually I do like going to the store. A friend of mine and myself have actually gone to the Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash down in Red Bank, the original location, and then we actually checked out the store from Clark's. But I actually like going personally into the comic book store because it actually, to me, that's like Disneyland because I went to school, I didn't mention it yet, but I actually went to college for communications. And it was actually, honestly, was influenced by Kevin Smith. Now, that, again, doesn't have anything to do with comic books. But to be quite honest, though, going in there brings back a little bit of my childhood memories as well. Let me check this out again, so I apologize. I'm just wasting time at this point. And the stuff I'm actually into also, I grew up at the age of 12 and on. First, it was horror movies, and then I stumbled upon Doctor Who. Now, Doctor Who was like my biggest thing for years. When I was a little kid, I used to collect stuff like Doctor Who, handmade scarves. I used to go to the conventions down in Philadelphia to see Doctor Who stuff. Doctor Who's, the actors. Actually, in Valley Forge, not that far from my house, I actually saw Colin Baker, Louise Jameson, and some other actors over the years. Peter Davison, I missed out on Tom Baker. He was actually down in Philadelphia. He was one of my biggest the people I love the most is Doctor Who. But I grew up at that time period when Doctor Who was really big back and it was a big thing on PBS. I actually remember going to the comic book stores, the bookstores. Jay and Silent Bob, the one thing I would go in there for is classic stuff. I'm trying to look around my room while I'm doing this. But actually, I grew up like, there was a show called Lost in Space. I noticed they had Robbie the Robot in Jay and Silent Bob's store. So that's the stuff I actually really like. I'm a big kid. I'm almost 50. It mentions what's my age. I'm 49 years old. I will be 50 in February. Now, this year, for my birthday on February, it was February 7th, I actually went down to the comic book store specifically because I wanted to do something out of the ordinary for, my 49th birthday. So I actually celebrated it at Jay and Silent Bob's. I got to talk to Walt Flanagan, to Mike Zapsik, and Mark Costello, which unfortunately, it's a shame he had passed away. All those guys were great. They were very friendly. Going in the store and seeing props from the movie Tusk, some stuff from Chase and Amy, Mallrats, all those films are in the store, so it's not just about comic books, it's also about, to me it's like Disneyland because, it's something I go in there and I can actually relive or see props from the movies, the films. But also, again, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, so I go in there, I look for stuff like that, or other things. I'll buy stuff from the View Ask You universe. But in addition to that, I actually will look for other things that I might like. Toys or trinkets. If it's Doctor Who, it's, money's going to just kind of leave my pocket right away. Because, again, I grew up with Doctor Who. It asks, kind of things you would be looking for. So, over the years, yeah, I got Doctor Who scarves. I'm looking around my room, so I apologize. I actually grew up, you can't see it in the frame, but I actually am a big fan of Friday the 13th. So I'm sure like that kind of stuff you will find in Jay and Silent Bob's store, so that's what's kind of cool. But the stuff I specifically look for are rare items like I got a question mark from Sylvester McCoy, Doctor Who umbrella. Now that had taken me a while to find. They finally released that. There was a company in England that actually started making official Doctor Who scarves. So I actually bought every version. I actually have in my closet an 18.5-foot Doctor Who scarf. That had taken me a while. I actually had to track that down. I know when I was a kid, one of the biggest things I always wanted to get was a TARDIS, like a full-size TARDIS. I had like piggy banks that had taken me years to find, like Doctor Who piggy banks. One with Peter Davison, one with Tom Baker. I got the ones that make noise. I have a light fixture over there. It's actually a TARDIS, but that had taken me a while. The stuff I would look for, if I had the room, because I don't have the room right now, I would buy a full-size, replica of the police box, the police call box from, Doctor Who. That's the kind of stuff, if I have the room, I will buy it. I've actually, I think a few years ago, I started buying the costumes, like the trench coat from Tom Baker's era. I actually bought in my closet. I actually have Roger Delgado's costume as the Master, the original Master. That's actually in my closet. I have the Doctor Who official hat, which I tracked down, because you asked for time periods. It's really difficult to say. I know when I was a kid, one of the big things I remember going to a comic book store that was over the King of Prussia Mall, and they actually one time, they said some guy was not like a Doctor Who fan. He was more of a Trekkie, a Star Trek fan. He actually changed his living room into the Enterprise, what do you call it? The not the old Star Trek, but the new Enterprise, the one that was with Patrick. I was going to say Patrick Troughton. That's not it. The deck of the Star Trek Enterprise from, I think it was called Generations. I'm not a big Trekkie. I'm more of a Whovian fan. And that was pretty cool. Now, those guys in the comic book store were like laughing about it. I was like, dude, I wanted to change my interior of my bedroom, or if I had a house, I have a single room right now, I would actually wanted to put rondels on. When I was a little kid, I wanted to put rondels on the wall because I was such a big Doctor Who fan. And if I could buy something, one thing I would buy would be like the centerpiece console from the original Doctor Who. The new one's kind of cool with the new Doctor Who, but the old one is like really awesome. I would love to have that console like in the middle of my room. So anyway, just to go through things again, I think I named a couple of things. My full name is Walter Paul Interrante, 49 years old. My occupation, because I don't know if that's really that impressive, I actually work as a glorified janitor, so to speak, for a company called Merck Sharp and Dome, where actually what I do is I clean in these sterilized areas. You can actually wear a bunny suit, so it's not very cool. It's a job, but it's not what I want to do. That's why, like, when I go away, that's why I wanted to go to, of all places, I wanted to go to the Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash, because that's, like, actually, to me, that's a fantasy land, a home away from home, things that, as an adult, being a big kid, as opposed to 12 years old any longer, that's the kind of stuff I look for, actually, right now. Something, it's fun. You can go to a department store, you can go anywhere else, but Jay and Silent Bob, it's more just communicating with the guys that are on the ComicBook Men, seeing them live. Mike and Walt, they see people like me who is a total stranger go in there and say, hey, Walt, hey, Mike. They don't know who I am, but I know who they are from on television and actually in the films, because I remember Walt Flanagan in the very first film of Clerks, and it's like, I get to see this guy. I'm not paying for him, and he has stuff I want to buy in the store. Mike said he was never in any of the films, which is, I know that's not true, but these guys you do see on TV, though, that alone just really impresses me. I know I'm going over the 3 minutes by now anyway. But anyway, I did grow up with Doctor Who. When I walked into the store, I asked those guys, this is the kind of job I want to do. I don't want to, if I had my dream job, it would be probably working in a comic book store, talking to people, communicating, and just you know, people in the same wavelength that I am. Well, maybe not, because I'm on a different wavelength altogether. Yeah, so, you know, again, going to Red Bank, I mean, I actually, years ago, I went out to a Doctor Who convention in California, and I ended up in the studios, but that to me was like Disneyland. So, but, because I get to converse with people that have the same interests as I do. But it's more so in Jay and Silent Bob's store, because when I grew up, I even read books like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and stuff. That's all science fiction and stuff. I did make some key notes, by the way. This is what's taking me so long. But no, I mean, but on the East Coast, you really don't have anything that's like that. Like the West Coast, you kind of have that. The East Coast, you don't. So Jay and Silent Bob's is my Hollywood, my Disneyland, my place that I like to go to and actually have fun going into the store. So I spend a whole week, like 5 days, 4 days down in Red Bank just for that specific reason. I had a blast. So anyway, I'm going to go. It says, one of the questions you asked is, what are you looking for if I was going to buy something? Well, yeah, duh. I would be like a TARDIS. You know, anything from Tom Baker would definitely be up my alley. Like, you know, a specific scarf, like his last season as Doctor Who, he had all burgundy, maroon, and I think it was like some type of purple in his costume. And Tom Baker did not like it. He had a scarf that was actually 24.5 feet long. That would be my dream thing to get, too. Not only just a costume, that scarf. Then, you know, for Doctor Who stuff specifically, Peter Davison, he had this jumper. It was basically, it's a sweater. It's a cricket sweater. That was, the first one was a real cricket sweater. They do make those now, but he had a jumper his last season. He was only on for 3 seasons. Peter Davison as Doctor Who. And the jumper he had his last season, you cannot buy anywhere. So that could be tracked down. That would be money out of my pocket, something I would buy. So that'd be another thing. K9, like I've always dreamed of, you know, hey, everybody likes R2-D2 from Star Wars. Me, it would be K9, you know, a full-size K9, not one of those little trinket ones, a full-size. If they ever got one of those, it probably would cost me an arm and a leg, but I probably would end up buying it. Well, I mentioned this already, a TARDIS interior, and then I mentioned to, I apologize, but to Diana, I'm actually really intrigued by, I can't wait, actually. I'm not a big comic book reader. I just love going in the stores because Kevin Smith and Walt, those guys, well, it's basically those, you know, the comic book men run Jay and Silent Bob. The stuff they have in the store, you can just take, I can take pictures all day of all the stuff that I find in that store. I think it's just really cool. But I'm really can't wait till, you know, Suicide Squad comes out, because I really just am, like, interested in seeing Harley Quinn. Now, Harley Quinn's going to get her own movie anyway, so that's going to be great. I know it's not about movies, but I can't wait. So I'm, like, a big buff. I just went to a comic book convention in Philadelphia, and I went basically just to see the vendors, talk to the vendors, see what they had. I really didn't want to waste a lot of money on talking to actors who are just charging me an arm and a leg. I'd rather just see the real people who like dressing up like these characters out of the comic books. And one of my biggest one, and it's been a big one for years, is Harley Quinn. So they were selling props like the baseball bat that was autographed. And then, so I'm like interested in that. The Harley Quinn shirt, there was one they had at the convention that was actually autographed by the actress. And that looked really cool too. It was like, yeah, this is kind of stuff, you know, you're not going to wear it, but I definitely would be interested in it. Now, I'm not supposed to show anything, but this just tells you, I mean, I spend a lot of money, but I actually bought Alien Stompers because I'm a big science fiction geek as well. So, you know, Jay and Silent Bob's is more than just a comic book store. It's like an everything store. It's got stuff from the View Askew universe. It has props from his movies, other stuff, trinkets, TV shows I just grew up with as a kid. It's more, again, and you got your comic book surroundings in there too. But again, you know, my thing is Doctor Who. I grew up with Doctor Who, like I said, but I also grew up with a lot of science fiction and horror movies, which you will find in Jay and Silent Bob's store, because it doesn't just focus on, I'm trying to think, it doesn't just focus on, you know, one thing. I mean, yeah, comics are the main thing. I go in there and I see, like, the tusk walrus man on the seal, and that always just intrigues me. I see stuff from his movie of Dogma. That really is like really cool. So I like going in there because again, this is like, and it's free, so that makes it really cool too. Not that I don't want to spend money. Trust me, I will spend money. Unfortunately, I spend way too much money on stuff that I end up accumulating a little bit too much of everything. But I really enjoy going there, and those guys make it more that I'm willing to spend money because they're not, you know, hounding you into making a sale. And if there is something you want, I can probably, you know, obviously I can get it in there. Why would I travel down there? I just bought some stuff from Jay and Silent Bob's. I just bought the new jerseys that Kevin Smith put out, Silent Bob on that new hockey jersey. I just paid for that before I went and seen him, and I will wear that. I have every jersey from the store, hockey jersey, that was released in the Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. And part of the reason is because, one, I just love the whole surroundings of the store and what it means behind there. There's a whole story, a whole history behind Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. It's more than just a store. It's actually a part of my life. I grew up, you know, for the last 20-some years watching these movies, and then actually being able to go to a store that actually has trinkets that you could either buy or admire from within these films, and also from comic books, and yes, Doctor Who stuff as well. So anyway, again, maybe I should just go through this again. My name is Walter Interrante. I am 49 years old. I live in Norristown, Pennsylvania. I'm a big fan of the whole Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. I love that store. My one friend, his name's Todd Thomas, he actually wanted to go there. He hasn't yet since the first time we went. And we had a blast going in the store and talking to those guys. And, you know, it's just weird because you see these guys on camera, but then you actually see them in real life, and these are real people. But to us, you know, View Askew universe people are the people who grew up watching these films with Walt Flanagan especially, and even Mallrats. I remember him in Mallrats. I remember him in Clerks. And then you're like, you're in a store with this guy, and you're actually buying stuff from him as well. And it's really, this means so much more to me. But again, you asked, it's like, I have so many different trinkets. Jason Voorhees masks, Doctor Who stuff, you name it, I have it. So, I actually even have, I paid some money for them. I actually had custom-made Lady Gaga action figures that I have on a bookshelf. I have a ton of them. I can't show you because I'm not supposed to focus on that. I'm supposed to focus on me, so I'm going to do that. So anyway, and I got other trinkets. I got a cricket bat because again, and hey, Peter Davison, his thing for Doctor Who was playing cricket. He had a cricket uniform once. I bought a cricket bat, and I made it look like his, but I would have loved to have an authentic one. I bought a jumper that was released officially from Doctor Who. But there's things like that I will go for, going back to the Doctor Who thing again. I am sorry for making this over 3 minutes, but I hope this is all right. And again, I just want to say, because actually this is how I do my podcast. I always say, this is Walter from iWalter signing off for now. So I'm going to do it that way. I hope this is fine. I got to find my remote and shut this off. Thanks again thanks again. I keep on ending my show. I'm like doing a show now, which I'm not. I'm doing an interview. So I hope this is okay. Thanks again. Walter. Sorry about that.